Count, we work with over 40 festivals, and there isn't anything like this anywhere else in the country. This activist tent, I honestly didn't know about. I definitely want to check out. There's so many organizations that converge music and activism here. There's Rock the Earth. The Epicenter itself has the think tank has a tent in the Epicenter that you guys should check out. And I'll tell you briefly what Headcount is doing. We get the question all the time, like, the election's over, what are you guys doing? Are you guys taking it easy? And it's far from it. We see the opportunity now is greater than ever. There's been a big change in this country. New constituencies are being heard. Literally 2 of our board members have met with Barack Obama this year, one being Bob Weir, the Grateful Dead. So if there's ever a time that this community can actually have its voice heard and influence things, it's now. This should be the golden years. And so what we're trying to do is just make it really, really easy for people to get involved. We have a couple people walking around with clipboards right now, and we just do a little survey. We ask you what issue you care about most. That's all we want to know. And from there, we're going to provide you information, regular updates, not a lot of email, just every 6 weeks, just tell you kind of what happened in the issue that you chose. And the other thing we do is ask you to write letters. And if you want to write a letter while you're here at Rothbury, if you go by our booth, which is by the Major League Baseball setup over there, if you write a letter, it automatically enters you into a raffle to win a limited edition poster that's signed by Bobby and Mike Kang and all these different people. So write a letter, you can win something really cool. And you can also do it on our website at headcount.org. And that's just our little way of trying to channel some activism and the incredible energy of this community. And there are a million different ways, and there are so many great ideas out here. And where I kind of like to go with the panel is let's talk about what are some of the simplest, most obvious things, kind of like along the lines of toilet paper. What are some of the things that all of us can take home from Rothbury, new ideas on how we can...
But what I would say is pick 5 simple things that you aren't doing yet, and gradually check them off. It could be making sure all your light bulbs are replaced. And there are things that both reduce your ecological footprint, they'll often save you money, they'll improve your health. As in the case of growing your own food, they save you trips to the store. You don't need plastic, you don't need gas to get to the store to get it. So they're all good things, and just pick a few at a time. It could be making sure your light bulbs are replaced with efficient bulbs. It could be setting your thermostat down a few degrees in the winter and putting on a sweater instead of blasting the heat. It'll save you money, reduce your carbon footprint. And there's a whole array of lists out there, 10 things that you can do to fight global warming, to reduce your carbon footprint. We've got a whole bunch of them under Tips for Sustainable Living at conservationvalue.org. Check them out. And I would just say, pick a few things at a time.
An extinction event, and most people do not realize that your individual actions today are critically important for your grandchildren's grandchildren, because they could actually be we could be going down the slippery slope from which we cannot return. And so my advocacy is to use fungi because fungi build soils. And as you look at the loss of soils throughout the world, this is a major contribution to carbon dioxide being put into the atmosphere. 3 times more carbon dioxide is resident within the soils than is in the atmosphere today. 2 days ago, Al Gore called me, and we spent an hour on the phone talking about how fungi sequester carbon dioxide and how fungi create soils. And this is a totally unexpected avenue that Al has never thought of. He saw a talk that I gave at TED. There's a talk that I gave that you can see at TED.com. And so this is a whole different aspect, and all these experts on global warming have not even tuned into this. It's counterintuitive because fungi exhale carbon dioxide just like we do. We're in fact more closely related to fungi than we are to any other kingdom. We're in a new super kingdom that's joined fungi and animalia together that are called a Pisthacanta. We actually are evolved from fungal ancestors. But the fungi, as they exhale carbon dioxide, is cold carbon dioxide. It hugs the ground. And the cellular structure of the fungi is about 80% carbohydrates. And so as the fungi break down plant material, soil thickens. And the greater and the thicker and the richer the soil, the greater the carrying capacity of the soil for biodiversity. And we need to be able to preserve the biodiversity of the ecosystem. How many of us have any clue as to how we got here? We are an evolutionary success today, but not for very long. And I believe the ecosystem will retaliate against us because we will be viewed upon as a virulent organism. And I thought once that if there was the United Organization of Organisms, otherwise called and if every organism had a vote, would we be voted on the planet or off the planet? That vote is happening right now. And so your individual actions and all of our actions collectively is absolutely critically important, not only for ecological health, but for human survival. 99% of the species on this planet have become extinct. Extinction is normal. And the human lifespan on this planet, we may be approaching an extinction horizon in the very near future. And so we have things like bird flu and H1N1, where do they come from? Factory farms. The concentration of animals, which is uncharacteristically intense, and then these disease vectors emanate. So we are truly at the 11th hour. And unfortunately, if we do not get our act together, it'll be good for the planet that humans become extinct. We have to make a conscious decision as to how we're going to move forward. And so by building soils, we retain CO2, we preserve biodiversity. This is something that all of you can participate in. Grow food, build your soil on your property. Don't throw recyclable materials into the waste containers when you can sacrifice them and build a carbon footprint on your land.
So returning to my earlier point that change starts from within, here's a couple of simple but profound suggestions on how not to get voted off the planet. First, consciously determine what you are living in service of that is greater than yourself. And determine your actions, whether they be large or small, from this place. Secondly, rename yourself. If your name is Steve, rename yourself as Green Steve. If your name is Jenny, refer to yourself as Green Jenny. And ask yourself day and night, what would Green Steve or what would Green Jenny do now? What decisions would Green Steve make or Green Jenny make? What actions would they take? Let that define every movement you make, every decision you make, day and night. Third, assess your values. Not all values are created or held equally. What are your highest and deepest values? Undoubtedly things we all share, things like security, love, connection, health, and well-being. Explore how your actions every day either feed or starve your core values. And decide to take actions that nourish and only nourish your core values. In this way, you'll be supporting and feeding and fertilizing the green landscape that's within, and ultimately the landscape of the world that we all share.